Hello, Video Psych here, as you can see. And if you didn't read the description below, I am now 30 years old. Yeah. Anyway, about this serious subject, the subject that we're talking about today. By the way, I need a drink. Again, about this serious subject here. Well, I'm 30 years old now, and let's say, didn't even come up with a script or anything. I just kind of started this video to be frank. Let's see. You know, sometimes I just think about things like this, like how, the fact that I'm 30 years old right now, and two, also just things like how sometimes, we have taken advantage. I guess I'm thinking right now about how we take advantage, of our youth, for instance, I guess, might say. I mean, sometimes, especially workplaces, I guess, you might say, they always take advantage of our youth. They always wear down, our youth, right? And then once we get older, to about my age, if not a bit older, like 35, 40 years old, they just stop hiring us, you know. Of course, it might also depend on what kind of job it is and what you know sometimes, although sometimes that doesn't matter either, what you know, what we know. And, as life just kind of goes on at a certain point, it just gets harder and harder. As we get older, we start not being able to do as much, we just start losing opportunities, we start doing this, we start doing that. We start calming down as we get older, just like I certainly have. They have actually done a study on how, it is more stressful to be a teenager. I guess it's partially just due to hormones, to say the least. How it's, teenagers actually do go through more stress than adults. And I sometimes do think that adults actually forget that they actually do go through more stress, to say the least. So I would say, as far as getting older goes, I would say that's actually a good thing, to say the least. There's good things and bad things about being old, I guess, but it's like I said, sometimes as we get older, we do kind of realize how much we've actually also taken advantage of life, which I think definitely about 99% of us on this planet are pretty much guilty of. I mean, I'm guilty of it. And also our friends, which of course we sometimes take advantage of, just like how, I guess I'll kind of be dedicating this video to my cousin Sam Chapman. He died over a week ago. He fell off his motorcycle. It wasn't COVID-19. He just fell off his motorcycle, hit the back of his head. Just the other day, on the 27th, was going to be his 26th birthday. He was my cousin, and I knew him pretty much most of his life, I would say. And it's sad, to say the least. But, I've already kind of gone past the grieving part, as you can see. As you have probably noticed, I'm handling it pretty well, to say the least. And, you gotta kind of look at stuff like that and just think, wow, to say the least. How much we could actually lose just like that, to say the least. And, no matter how bad a situation is, and things can get pretty bad sometimes, but it could always get worse. Speaking of which, actually, now I'm talking about that, actually, that same day on the 27th, me and my brother and my stepbrother were leaving, the funeral, to grieve. And then suddenly, one of my brother's back tires blew out. As we were on the highway coming back, we were about an hour away drive here on the interstates, and my brother's tire blew out. And we looked at the other back tire of my brother's car, and man, it was just bad. It was still together, but it was just badly worn out. And of course, the other one was completely blown out, just ruined. We had to replace it with the spare tire, and luckily we managed to get back home. But let me tell you, it was not a fun night at all, especially after my brother's tire went out like that. We had to watch for traffic almost running us over as we're trying to put on the spare tire on the interstate. Oh my God. Let me tell you guys, what a freaking night. Just what a night the other night was. It was not fun. But like I said, things could have been also worse. Like, we also could have been stuck out there for much longer than we were. And thankfully the other tire on my brother's car didn't, wear down to the point where it also exploded. Because it very well could have. So, and we only had like another hour delay after having to put that tire on. But, again, at least, we managed to get back home and everything. But it was not fun. Anyway. But yeah, I could just probably talk all day actually about all the things that people take advantage of, especially, I hate to say nowadays, but I've got to say with the current technology that we have, we take advantage of a lot of things. We take advantage of even sometimes our partners, we take advantage of our time. Now that everything can cook quicker, run faster, like our cars, etc., there's always more of an expectation from us nowadays to do things faster, especially with the way that some of our jobs are going away, like especially factory work. Just any repetitive work that there is in workplaces sometimes is being taken over by machines now, and people are slowly but surely losing their jobs. At least in that area, to say the least. They aren't losing them all together, but they are starting to. And, which is, of course, leaving us to have to find, something for us to do. And sometimes I even think that, even our children sometimes are being taken advantage of sometimes because, the schools, they don't even teach things that we need to know anymore, at least not like they used to anyway. Of course, I'm not going to say don't take your kid to high school. I mean, just basically what I'm saying is, especially since I've gotten out of high school, I haven't had to hardly use jack shit of the knowledge I ever used from high school, to be frank. I mean, there's important classes like, math class and, social studies, there's, also psych, curricular stuff. But, the way our school system is based is still based on, the traditional routes of work. And the problem is that our schools aren't changing to that. And so basically what's going on is that, the school systems sometimes have stopped caring about teaching our kids and younger adults things that they actually need to know. Now, college is at least a little bit better than high school, to say the least. I will give it that. Going to college is at least better than going to high school. When I went to college, first what I did is I actually got my GED, and that's actually a good thing to have, is to get your GED, actually. Because, there's a little thing going on when I was in high school, and then it ended up having to get my GED at a DMAC, actually. So, to say the least, going to college is at least better than going to high school. But, I just think that sometimes our kids are being led astray because they just aren't being taught things that they need to know. They're not being taught how to work. They're just being taught how to do a test. And They're only being taught how to have a good memory, you know? I mean, I've pretty much regurgitated most of the knowledge that I used to know when I was in high school, because ever since then, like most of the knowledge I learned from there, I just never needed to use. Even when I went out to work and everything, I just never needed the knowledge. Now, it's not to say that there aren't workplaces that require you to have that kind of knowledge, but there's a lot of places that really don't. I mean, when I one of the things I did when I was like 20 years old, I used to just put a part in a jig, and then once the machine would take care of making that parts, I would then take the part out of the machine, out of the jig, and then I would put it into a tray, and then I would have to wait for a forklifter to get it. I mean, and sometimes that situation just kind of makes you think sometimes of all that knowledge and all that time you put into, let's say, getting a GED and, going through high school and everything. It's just like, okay, so I did all this through high school and everything and learned all this stuff, but, to what end? What was the purpose of learning all this stuff when I didn't even need it, and all I needed, it's like I might as well have just dropped out of second grade or something and just got this job. You know what I mean? It's just weird sometimes. Like you're being set up, to say the least, to getting a shitty job anyway. And not to mention that, I mean, again, we could, at some point, we could just lose everything just like that. And it would take a lot less than you would think for us to lose everything. Just think, what if one day you just came back home, your dog was dead, sitting in there on the lawn. You go inside to check on your family's dead. The place is all torn up. And then you just think, well, what the fuck am I going to do now? If you're a child and something like that happened to you, you would probably just get adopted. I mean, best case scenario, you're just going to get adopted into another family, and maybe they're nice to you, maybe they're not, maybe they're abusive, maybe they aren't abusive. And even if they're good people, they aren't going to be like your real family was to you, of course. And also losing a family member, like, my cousin over a week ago. Now, we have to move on without him, obviously. That's one less contact that I have now, to say the least. Man, what else should I talk about? I'm not going to let this video be that serious. But anyway. What else? Well, I can't necessarily think of anything else to talk about. By the way, I of course do not think of my cousin's death as a joke. I mean, why I think that? The reason why I react like I do is because that's just my way of pushing my feelings away. But to say the least, I guess that's just how I'll end the video here. Not a very good way to end the video, I guess, but I'll just end it right here. I don't want this video to be too long. Plus, I gotta talk about something else here. So I'll see you guys in a few minutes here. Bye.